Yes. Oh my God. This looks spectacular. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I was beyond delighted to find out that Jinjer had released a new single and a new video to go with it. We've looked at Jinjer a couple times now on this channel. They're one of my favorites. I've seen them live, and I just absolutely love the trajectory they've been on for the past, I don't know, what is it, 5 years? I think it was 5 years ago that they released Pisces and sort of got to the level of renown that they're at now. Maybe it was longer ago. Anyway, I'll have to look that up. But it's been just such a delight to see how well they've been doing, and so I am more than excited to look at this video specifically because from what I've seen, it's going to be pretty awesome. And I also know that I've only seen a couple shots, and I know that there's a couple things that are going to hit all the right spots. So I'm just really excited to take a look. So let's do it.
You teach me how to be a man, though I am someone's daughter. The path of warrior was set for me, and I had to try on the armor.
Yes. Oh my God. This looks spectacular. Okay. I know that there's going to be a lot to deconstruct and look at. So first of all, I wanted to point out something, and that's here on the opening title, is we already see here that our director and editor and the VFX are done by Tima Kasatkin. And I really love this, to know this going into it. I'm very much a proponent of very prominently, putting the names of the artists that are involved with these music videos as well. So thank you for that, Ginger. That's really cool. And also something I'm noticing right away, and you do see this a little bit more, but this is what we would call a multi-hyphenate in the film industry, someone who does multiple things, has multiple roles on a production. So Tima here is directing. So they were on set directing, edited the video as well as did the VFX. And so I'm also a director who is capable of doing more things like I edit, and I I'm assuming actually that Tima was also the uh, director of photography, or at least a camera operator on this, but probably the director of photography as well. I'm not going to get into the weeds of what all of that means too much right now, before we even look at some of the visuals here. But that they were also able to do the VFX as well, to me is really, really awesome. It's one of the things that I'm not too proficient at. And it's definitely a leg up for a lot of filmmakers, if you're able to do VFX as well. Now, I think that AI is definitely going to revolutionize a lot of the VFX space, and it's going to make it easier for people to do and also to get into that. So I'm really looking forward to that development personally, because I would love to learn. But VFX is just it's a big skill to have. Okay, now let's start talking about some of the actual visuals here, because all of these shots immediately were stunning. Like what we open on this beautiful light coming from here, which I'm actually wondering if this maybe is a green screen behind her because it looks a little bit digitally generated. Nevertheless, we have a beautiful glow on her face. So if it is a green screen, it's really well done in terms of making sure that the lighting is consistent. We have this shot, which it looks a little bit like she's definitely wearing an armor here. This looks like the Iron Throne. I don't know if that's what they're doing, but this is also a beautiful shot. Very cool looking. Then we have yet another character where she's looking a bit more puritanical, kind of in the way that she's dressed. Not quite sure where this is headed yet story-wise, but it does feel like there's another big story to this. I'm getting a little bit of like video game character vibe from this, which is awesome. But then, oh yeah. Oh, I think I know. She is actually playing famous female personalities from history. So this is probably Marie Curie. And we have Cleopatra then. The other one was probably Jeanne d'Arc. I'm sure that we're going to be seeing more. That's really cool. But this shot, oh my God. I love this costume. Okay, so something you need to know about me is that I've always been a little bit of an ancient Egyptophile. Was really into it. Like when I was 14 years old, like I actually painted these Egyptian murals on my bedroom walls and stuff. Like I was, it's truly an understatement when I say I was really into it and like the whole history and the lore. And I love this. What's so cool about this as well is how well the costume fits with her tattoo. So I'm really, really loving that. Like this looks spectacular. Then we see the band and they're in such a moody environment. Very, very cool looking. And we have this sort of flying, this ash that is flying around and looks really, really nice. So Eugene is here with his like signature bass. And then the drums are in this really dark space. And then, and this is where I pause it, this sort of spaceship, space landscape kind of thing is revealed. And I'm just so excited. So no more talking for me. Let's watch more. I'm gonna try not to talk too much, but I feel like if I wait too long, I'm gonna miss things because I want to talk about it all.
doesn't suit me. Hey, feels so heavy. I'm frightened and so ashamed. Then I have to combat the world alone. Then I have to swing my sword alone. So my gentleness is turning to rigidity. And once off, the skin is nothing but the scale. One by one, I lead in equal fights eventually. The beauty's nose is broken and not faint. Life feeds me bullets and stones, and I stitch myself up If I cry, I will run my tears inside of my bloodstained cheeks. I've found talents beyond comprehension. All my battles are sight to behold. Wading through the hardship alone, translating my body to soul.
Okay, so much going on. Also, this song is excellent. It's, I feel like the video fits really well. So we have this, obviously, it's like a blend of the modern and the ancient or the, you know, the older, the historical. And we sort of feel that in their music too, where their music is so, it's really modern, but they mix it with, you know, techniques and styles that we consider to be a bit more classical, right? Like they're very sort of jazzy in their music composition. And I feel like the way that we see these sets and these characters, for example, the Jeanne d'Arc one, which I'm assuming that's what she is. I could be wrong. But she's set on the what looks a little bit like an Iron Throne from Game of Thrones. And I feel like that's an interesting twist. And then we have the Cleopatra character who is also sitting on a throne, but she has this really beautiful temple behind her, which is also a little bit more modern looking and not fully accurate necessarily in the sense that temples back then in the actual ancient days, they were very much heavily painted, so they were very colorful. Whereas the way that we know them now, they're more like sandy looking and all of that, and we don't really see a lot of color or paint on these temples, and in fact, like they look a little bit grayish. So that's what I mean with more modern looking. It's like an interpretation of something ancient. And then the painter, I am now assuming, is actually Frida Kahlo. And if that's actually who she is, I love that they actually did not go for the eyebrows, right? Because that would be such a stereotype. Instead, in all of these characters, they kept the makeup on her face relatively clean, even though we know that Tatiana loves makeup and does her own makeup in a lot of this, at least for stage. Probably they had someone do it for the video, but regardless, the makeup's relatively clean, which is an interesting choice, and especially to go uh, for the costume, but not actually have her have like the typical Kahlo eyebrows is an interesting choice, and again, quite a modern interpretation. So I love that. And Marie Curie as well, just doing her science experiments. I'm really enjoying that. We have the band in this sort of dystopian atmospheric setting. It's very cool. Again, like that's also another juxtaposition. It's like they're time travelers, right? It's like they're traveling back through time. I'm not totally focusing on the lyrics, but I'm getting the feeling that it from the video as well as the title, like it's kind of an homage to certain women. So I love that. And we have a lot of very active camera movement. So we're moving in and out quite a bit. We're moving around the characters, but it's very clear that they were in front of a green screen and that there isn't like a lot of movement to the side of the characters. So the camera is mostly just staying laterally from them. So even though it's like moving around swiftly, there's not like there you can tell that they were still restricted in terms of space a little bit. Which I mean, I don't mind that. And these digital backgrounds that our director, editor, VFX person created definitely add a lot of depth to all of this. So it's really cool and such a it's a really smart way to make a music video look really spectacular without having to spend a ton on like locations or set dressing and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, the trade that you do, the compromise is definitely that you take away some of the reality of it. But then if you place them in like these environments that so clearly are not real, then that really works. Like we don't have the budgets to create all of these sets in reality. So it's uh, it's very cool looking, and I absolutely love this. And it's actually a very efficient way of creating a music video that just looks really stunning. And you'll also need minimal crew relatively too, and that's pretty cool. It's just very economical. Ah, damn it, that's it. So we had the crescendo, the ending, the finale of the video with the flames and seeing Tati and all of the different characters performing um in the flames, which is so cool looking. Again, such a uh, juxtaposition with, the old and the modern. And I was just thinking to myself as well, it's like even her voice does that too, right? We have her beautiful jazzy voice, the clean vocals, and then her harsh vocals, right? It's such a juxtaposition. And I love that they play with that in the video as well. So, really great. I also wanted to point out some things here. The color grading in this video is truly excellent. So, something with VFX, and especially sometimes when VFX are done poorly, we can see because the lighting is off, it's not consistent with whatever we see around them in the background, or, on whatever object, for example, bullets flying through the screen, you can see that the light isn't reflecting off of it properly, or these are just little giveaways for filmmakers, at least, to see when maybe, you'll see this on TV shows sometimes where they have really strict deadlines. VFX takes a lot of time to do, and especially to do it well and right. That's why it's also expensive, by the way. It takes a lot of people, takes a lot of time. Those are some of the giveaways that maybe sometimes they didn't have a lot of time. Here, I'm really, really impressed with how well it looks. For example, here, we can really see on this shot, I it's possible that they'd already chosen these backgrounds, and so our director already knew where they would have to position the lights to make sure that we're emulating the light that is coming from the background here. So it's possible that this light, you can generate this in whatever editing program that it is that you're using to create or editing program, but also VFX program to create this light in post. But we're seeing two lights. There's also a light coming from here and here, but it's really cool that it's fitting whatever light is spilling from this window. So it's very intentional and it's really good looking. It doesn't look like Tatiana is sitting in front of this set. It's really, she's sort of blending into this, which is really, really nice looking. Same here. I love the color grading here. I love this contrast between the yellow and the blue, which is something that I always point out. You see it quite a bit, but that's because it looks so good. That's because blue and yellow and are complementary colors, right? So they're it just always looks satisfying to the eye. And again, I'd like to point out, it's like all of these different sets, her four characters all have like a color palette of their own. So here, Marie Curie has a little bit more of like bluish shadows. Um, it's a little bit more washed out as well to sort of fit that industrial tone, I think. Again, beautiful lighting. So they really paid a lot of attention to the lighting while they were shooting. It goes to show that if you work with someone who does know how to work with those VFX and you go into shooting the video with that knowledge, it's really useful. That's why who doesn't have quite as much experience actually doing the VFX in post, make sure that I have a VFX supervisor that I'm talking with. So I actually hire someone who's a specialist in that space who can tell me, like, hey, make sure that you do this, this, and this while you're shooting. And that way I can still make up for the fact that I may not know how it's done necessarily in post, but at least I have someone who's advising me. So that's how you compensate for that. But it's really nice if you're able to do that yourself as well. And this is actually why I really like talking with a VFX specialist and an editor as well, if I'm not editing myself, before you start shooting. And some people think that's too early. They think it's weird because that's a post thing. But truly, if that's not informing how you're shooting, that could lead to trouble later on. So that's just some of like the process, really. This is probably the one where you can see most that it's sort of pasted into a background because we're sort of missing some of these more yellowy lights in the reflections here on her throne and her armor, and the the lighting isn't as consistent because we don't really see too much of these reflections coming from the back, whereas we're seeing some coming from the front, yet Tatiana isn't that lit from the front. But this one is also the hardest because you have a lot of reflective surfaces. So it's tough. And like that one's a lot harder than some of the other ones are. And then I wanted to also go back to this one. This is a gorgeous shot, but here it does melt in a little bit better. And here is also what I was talking about the background with the temple being sort of grayish and a little bit different looking. And here we could definitely see this fire and these bowls that the fire is in is looking a little bit like a video game. And that's not a point of contention at all. I'm really loving this. I really feel like that looks really cool. And again, here we have this warm tone and the cool tone, which is interesting because it looks like this is like coming from the fire, but it's not. Um, but somehow it fits a little bit better here, and I think that's because we have cool and warm tones in the background as well. So that's why this doesn't stick out quite as much as the throne does. Um, and also, I feel like Tati here is lit a little bit better, a bit more consistently with the background as well. So it just blends in better. Overall, though, like those are small criticisms, but I just like pointing this stuff out just so that you can kind of see what I see. But this is it's just a really beautifully done video, and even here with the band, I love how this yellow light is carrying onto the drums here. It's very well done. And this was a very enjoyable video, and I love that we get to see these really cool, badass historical figures in a video like this. What a great song from Jinjer. I'm really excited. Do they have a new album coming up? If I have been out the loop a little bit, I guess, but if they do, I'm so excited. I have been loving their work, and I don't think we've had a new album from them for a while, so that'd be great. Okay, anyway, that's it for me. This was so lovely. Let me know in the comments what your favorite female historical figure is. I would love to know. And which of these is the one that you love most? I think mine would obviously be the Cleopatra one. Like that, I love that. If you want to see more of my video analysis that I do here on the channel, make sure you subscribe and follow along. You can join in the comments and chat with us. We also have a Discord channel where the community hangs out and we talk a lot more about videos and all the different kinds of music that we love and movies. I love talking about movies, so we do that a lot too. Also, if you want to get exclusive and early access to my videos, make sure you sign up on Patreon. And that's it for me for now. I hope to see you on the next one. Peace.